Before the young general set off for battle, he seized my virginity in a drunken frenzy. Through 3 absurd days and nights, he bit my neck and vowed fiercely, "Bear me in heir, and the position of primary wife shall be yours." But when he returned victorious, he held in his arms the eldest sister who had once fled their betrothal, leaning into his chest. Her eyes reddened. That night, General merely used his sister in an emergency. The betrothal was meant for me. The young general, heartbroken, frowned and comforted her. "Just give her a concubine status. Only you are worthy of being my rightful wife." I was struck dumb, suddenly sober. Yes, it was my fault, me foolish dream of reaching the moon. I stroked my slightly rounded belly, then turned and left the capital. 5 years later, we met again. I held a little bundle in my arms. The once wild and reckless young general stood with bloodshot eyes, not daring to take a single step forward. No, he couldn't possibly think my daughter was his. Beijing led a light cavalry deep into enemy territory, vanishing without a trace for 2 full months. No one imagined he'd return alive. Even less did they expect that his first act upon returning would be to immediately wed my elder sister, Qin Liusu. The sun blazed overhead. Beijing's words pierced my heart like a dagger, striking without warning. Amidst the clamor of voices, I fought back the urge to vomit. With great effort, I managed to speak. "General Pei, but I already have. That night, you clearly said that if you returned, crippled or ill, you would take me as your wife." Beijing's expression wavered for a moment, as if recalling those 3 days and nights of folly. My elder sister dabbed at the corner of her eye and spoke softly. "Sister, even if you're eager to marry into the general's household as a concubine, you cannot wear my crimson phoenix crown and ceremonial robes." Her words drew everyone's gaze back to me. I was suddenly overcome with panic and confusion. Whispers filled the air, every glance mocking. My crimson wedding gown felt like a branding iron against my skin, and I longed to tear it off immediately. It turned out I had misunderstood. 7 days prior, Beijing had sent an urgent letter. His tone was stern, ordering me to bring the wedding attire to the city gate today to greet him. I had believed he would fulfill his promise. My heart filled with joy. But what awaited me was this humiliation. It felt like being slapped in public. Me humiliation had nowhere to hide. Beijing finally seemed to notice me, his voice thick with impatience. "Asu has already shared my bed. The position of primary wife rightfully belongs to her. Though you have lost your virtue, if you behave yourself, I may take you as a concubine." Embarrassment and sorrow tangled together. My stomach began to ache faintly. I swayed, nearly losing my footing. A maid hurried to support me. My elder sister also came over, offering a feigned helping hand. "Be careful, little sister." Then, with a smile, she leaned close to my ear and whispered mockingly, "You're just a plaything for his desires. How dare you covet the young general?" Shame and fury overwhelmed me. Just as I tried to defend myself, my elder sister turned to Beijing and pouted. "Zheng, the wedding gown is defiled. I won't wear such a second-hand, filthy thing. Postpone the wedding. It's bad luck." Beijing gazed at my elder sister with indulgent affection, his eyes holding a tenderness I'd never seen before, not even during those days when had been lost in passion. My heart sank. But finally, I gave up hope. I turned silently, placed a hand on my belly, and tears finally fell onto my palm. Behind me, I heard Beijing's resigned voice. "As you wish. As the future matriarch of the general's household, you shall naturally have final say in all matters." The crowd's congratulatory cheers rang incessantly. Yet I felt as if I heard nothing. Only after climbing into the sedan chair did I dare let my tears flow freely. This border crisis was fraught with mortal peril. The Pei family, once renowned for its loyalty and valor, now had only Beijing as its sole surviving heir. Before departure, the emperor commanded Beijing to ensure the Pei lineage continued. Beijing himself shared this resolve. My elder sister, betrothed to him, seemed the ideal choice. But upon learning of Pei Jing's intent to fight, she feared becoming a widow and refused outright. She insisted on breaking off the engagement, storming off to Jiangnan in a fit of anger. Time was too short for Pei Jing to find another bride. By a twist of fate, that person became me. I too was unwilling. A marriage without matchmakers or betrothal gifts would surely be despised by society. Moreover, all knew Shin Liusu had saved Pei Jing's life. Pei Jing loved Shin Liusu deeply, a love that would last until death. Yet that rainy night, he stood dazed and lost outside my elder sister's chamber. I gathered my courage and kindly offered him my umbrella. Instead, he clasped my hand tightly, his face lighting up with joy. "Ah, Su, have you returned?" When he recognized me, his expression dimmed, yet he didn't release my hand. "You are Ah Su's fifth younger sister, Shin Liushi." I nodded blankly. My heart pounded fiercely. A young general in splendid armor, his military exploits renowned, his spirit radiant. He was the dream of countless noble ladies in the capital. My own feelings for Pei Jing weren't exactly pure either, especially since had once saved me from drowning at the flower festival banquet. I never imagined that after 3 years, He'd still remember the name of this unloved concubine's daughter. So when he lowered himself, leaning close to whisper sweet enticements, I didn't refuse. I couldn't refuse. Before I could fully process it, had already swept me forcefully onto the bed. The rich scent of wine soon mingled with his impatient kisses, spreading across my body. A tingling sensation washed over me. And only then did fear begin to stir. But then I thought of his perilous journey ahead. If he could secure an heir for the Pei family, it would be a blessing. So I steeled my resolve, closed my eyes, and surrendered to his touch. The next morning, when he sobered up, I expected him to regret it. Instead, he showed no anger. Having tasted the sweetness, he craved more, growing even more fierce. From the bed to the writing desk, he left no corner of my elder sister's boudoir untouched. This descent into passion lasted 3 days. On the final morning, Pei Jing left while I slept. He left behind only a jade bracelet passed down through generations of the Pei family, a piece guarded by the matriarch of the general's household for generations. Back then, I was utterly confident Pei Jing would surely keep his word and marry me. For 2 months, I ate only vegetarian meals and chanted sutras daily, praying for his safe return. But now, Pei Jing returned with military honors. Yet my elder sister had also settled her affairs and returned to the capital. Everything had returned to its proper course. To become a concubine, I would rather die than accept it. This was my mother's final request on her deathbed. My hand drifted to my belly, and sorrow deepened. Very well. Perhaps this child and I were never meant to be. Resolution hardened. I summoned my personal maid, Chun Xing, to pack my belongings. Pei Jing surely couldn't wait a single day longer to welcome his elder sister into the mansion. I must leave the capital swiftly. My stay at the general's residence was brief. My belongings were few. I was but a floating duckweed. When I left the Shin residence, I carried only a bundle of personal clothes. That day, the emperor, already privy to the truth, ordered me to reside at the general's residence to safeguard Pei Jing's rear. With the emperor's decree, coupled with my elder sister's wrongdoing in fleeing the marriage, the Shin family ought to have made amends to the Pei family. That's why my father and stepmother dared not speak further of the matter. But a concubine's daughter consorting with a man without a matchmaker had utterly disgraced the Shin household. Father sent a servant to deliver a message. Whether Pei Jing returned from his journey or not, I need not return to the Shin residence. Having lost my virtue and now bearing his child, I too would be condemned by the world. Thus, from the moment Pei Jing lifted me onto the bed, I had no path of retreat. Just as I drifted in a daze, another maid rushed in, gasping, "Miss Liushi, trouble. Miss Liusu is furious and has brought Lady Shin to this courtyard." The words barely left her lips when Shin Liusu stormed in, her rage boiling over. Smack! The moment she entered, she struck me hard across the face. You lowly slut. Stealing my brother-in-law. Even courtesans in brothels know more shame than you. A bed-climbing whore like you, daring to reside in the general's mansion. The blow stunned me. Before I could react, Shin Liu-su, still seething, raised her hand again. Smack. Chun Xing, quick as lightning, threw herself forward and took the blow for me. Not only are you shameless, but you deliberately copulated in this young lattice boudoir, disgustingly provoking me. Is that it? As if you're afraid no one knows your seductive wiles, luring men into bed for 3 days and nights straight. Shin Liu-su hurled insults while smashing everything in sight. Everything around us was reduced to rubble. Chuanxing and I huddled together in a corner, not daring utter a word. We'd grown accustomed to this since childhood. Outside the mansion, our elder sister was the well-mannered, cultured daughter of a minister. Back home, however, she was a tyrannical, unruly bully whom no one dared provoke. She had countless ways to torment us concubine-born daughters and the servants. As her only daughter, she was cherished like a precious jewel by our stepmother, who cared not a whit for our well-being. In the chaos, several maids hurriedly pulled me up from the floor. A physician immediately stepped forward to take my pulse. My hand trembled, my heart pounding in my throat. Both women fixed their eyes on me until the physician shook his head. The pulse is too faint. No signs of pregnancy yet, the legitimate mother nodded in relief. Then addressed Shin Liu-su. The maid confirmed she's had her monthly flow these past 2 months. There should be no ill-gotten seed within her, Shin Liu-su sneered. She still dreams of bearing the general's heir. Not only is she not pregnant, but even if she were, I'd ensure she miscarries. I felt a flicker of relief besides Chuanxing. I hadn't told a soul about my pregnancy. Fortunately, the days were few and the pulse unstable. Otherwise, with the stepmother's methods, I feared that along with this pregnancy being terminated, my own life would be forfeited as well. My maternal family had practiced medicine for generations, only falling into decline after being framed. My mother's masterful medical skills were passed down to me, and I understood my own condition well. The stepmother's smile was icy as she echoed Shin Liu-su's words with scorn. Your mother was nothing but a whore who slept her way through men. You've certainly inherited her talent for seduction. Too bad you're just a worn-out shoe, not even fit to be the young general's concubine. I gritted my teeth, enduring the humiliation without uttering a sound. The only time I'd ever dared to speak up for my mother against my stepsister as a child. The punishment locked in the stable for 3 days and nights without a drop of water was etched too deeply into my memory. Just as my stepmother prepared to unleash more abuse, Shin Liu-su suddenly shrieked. She lunged forward, grabbing my arm with a voice dark and terrifying. You little slut. How did the Pei family's ancestral jade bracelet end up on you? A chill ran down my spine, and I instinctively tried to dodge aside. But it was too late. Furious, Shin Liu-su yanked my hair and dragged me toward the courtyard. Pain and fear gripped me, especially as I had to protect the child growing inside me. I could only shield my belly as she pulled me out. Once we reached the courtyard, she shoved me violently to the ground. Immediately, a bucket of filthy water was dumped over my head. Wash off that whore's stench. Don't defile the general's residence. Everyone open your eyes wide. See who truly rules this household. Soaked to the skin, I was utterly humiliated. Chuanxing rushed to shield me but was kicked by the maidservant. What's happening? Pei Jing appeared suddenly. His gaze on me held complex emotions. Shin Liu-su's expression shifted instantly as she stepped forward to link arms with Pei Jing. Ah, Zheng. It's nothing. Merely a mother visiting her younger sister, only to be defied. A little discipline was in order. Shin Liu-su spoke while her eyes flashed a warning at me. Truthfully, she needn't have worried. Even if Pei Jing knew the truth, he would only side with her, perhaps seeing how pitiful I looked. Pei Jing unexpectedly spoke up for me. Now that she's been taught a lesson, let it rest. She's merely a concubine, You can discipline her properly in time. A wave of desolation washed over me. In their eyes, someone like me was nothing more than an object, to be used when needed, discarded when no longer useful. Zheng, are you feeling sorry for her? Chen Liusu frowned in displeasure. Pei Jing sighed helplessly, gently pinching her nose as he soothed her with a soft voice. I'm worried you'll harm your health from anger. That's why I feel for you. Only then did Chen Liusu smile. Zheng, take me to see our main residence after we marry. I want to decorate it myself. Chen Liusu pulled Pei Jing out the courtyard gate. The stepmother and her entourage followed suit. Only chaos remained behind. Chen Liusu's rampage had scattered the neatly packed bundles. Most of the jewelry my mother had left me lay shattered on the floor. I wiped away my tears, sighed, and began tidying up again with Chuanxing. We had to leave as soon as possible. Before we knew it, night had fallen. Only when my stomach growled did I realize I hadn't eaten dinner. In the past, the kitchen of the general's residence delivered meals punctually. Now, on the verge of being kicked out, no one remembered the small courtyard. Chuanxing, indignant, was about to go to the kitchen to demand food, but Pei Jing suddenly returned, though the room had been tidied up. Much of the furniture and belongings were damaged. Pei Jing surveyed the scene, then glanced at my swollen face before clearing his throat. Asu has a rather temperamental disposition. As her sister, you must bear with her. I remained silent. Pei Jing continued. His Majesty just sent envoys with a reward. The eunuch also inquired about your recent circumstances. I lowered my head, a bitter smile forming. So the emperor had inquired. No wonder had come personally. Rest assured, General, if the palace asks, they'll report everything is well. I kept my eyes lowered, avoiding his gaze. Pei Jing remained silent for a long while before his voice suddenly grew hoarse. When it's just the two of us, you needn't call me General. It feels too formal. I remembered abruptly. Those absurd moments when Head used every trick to force me to call him Pei Lang. The night wind swept in, stinging my eyes. It also sobered me considerably. Lu, she dares not. If my elder sister heard, she'd likely grow angry again. Pei Jing gave a helpless smile, neither confirming nor denying. You know how urgent it was then. The emperor's command left us no choice. Those nights, you endured much hardship. Once Asu enters the household, they'll persuade her to accept you as a concubine. Fortunately, you're not pregnant yet, so there's no rush to formalize things. A wave of bitterness welled up inside me. A thought I didn't know where it came from slipped out before I could stop it. If I were already pregnant, what would the general do then? The moment the words left my mouth, I regretted them. Pei Jing froze. His gaze drifted downward, lingering on my abdomen for a moment before he chuckled softly. Your elder sister is petty-minded. She'll surely make a huge fuss over this. If you truly are pregnant, well, terminate it first. Once Asu gives birth to the legitimate heir, you can conceive again. Then I was speechless. Unconsciously, I touched my belly and lowered my head, hiding the tears welling in my eyes. Having said his piece, Pei Jing turned to leave, but suddenly remembered something. Since Asu is about to enter the household, that bracelet should be returned to its rightful owner. Asu just had another argument with me over it. All right, without a moment's hesitation, I reached to remove the jade bracelet. What never belonged to me, I didn't want, but the bracelet's opening was too tight. The more I fumbled, the harder it came off. Chun Xing rushed over to help, and the two of us struggled for ages. Pei Jing grew impatient waiting. A sneer touched his lips as he issued a cold warning. What isn't yours, you shouldn't covet. With that, he swept his sleeve coldly and left. I had no way to defend myself. By the time I finally got it off, my wrist was swollen and red beyond recognition. The pain made tears flow uncontrollably, as if they'd finally found a proper outlet. Chuanxing hurriedly handed the jade bracelet to the steward waiting nearby. The steward said nothing, simply took it and left. Night had deepened, and the kitchen was deserted. Chuanxing, concerned for my frail body, found some pastries for me. After we shared them, she soon collapsed exhausted onto the soft couch and fell into a deep sleep. I covered her with a blanket, leaving several valuable pieces of jewelry and her indenture contract beside her. Alone. I slung my bundle over my shoulder and slipped quietly out the door. With my ruined reputation and nowhere to go, my path ahead would be arduous. There was no need to drag Chun-Xing into this further. As I departed, dawn was breaking, yet the general's residence was already bustling with activity. The servants were rushing to prepare for the wedding with my elder sister in 3 days. The elaborate, festive decorations everywhere showed how much Beijing cared about the ceremony. In my heart, I sighed deeply for the child growing within me. When you're reborn next time, be sure to choose carefully. Be born into the womb of a legitimate daughter, and never seek out a wretched soul like me to be your mother. No one noticed me. Dressed plainly, I slipped smoothly into the crowd and walked out the main gate of the general's residence. I never looked back. When Beijing returned from court, the commotion at the entrance halted his steps. What is all this noise? He stepped closer and saw Shen Liusu reprimanding Shen Lux's personal maid. It seemed Shen Liushi would have to move to the country estate first. Liusu was prone to petty tantrums. No more mishaps could be tolerated before the wedding. Zheng, you're just in time. My half-sister's maid stole something from the mansion and tried to flee just now. I caught her red-handed. The stolen goods are still there. Look, Shen Liushi pointed at the scattered items on the floor as she lodged her complaint. No, I didn't. The jewelry was given to me by my young mistress. I was going out to look for her. I really didn't steal anything. The maid cried desperately, trying to defend herself. Beijing glanced over. Several pieces of expensive jewelry lay on the ground, along with a few garments. A minor matter. Just as he lifted his head to reassure Shen Liusu, something familiar suddenly caught his eye. Beijing crouched down and picked up a jade pendant from the pile. His expression changed instantly as he stared at the maid and demanded, "Where did you get this jade pendant?" The maid explained again. It truly was given to me by my young mistress. It was passed down to her by her own mother, and it even has the name of her maternal grandfather's old medical clinic engraved on it. A medical clinic. He recalled waking from poisoning in the temple years ago. His deputy officer saying a Miss Shen had delivered a miraculous elixir. 3 days after taking it, he had truly recovered. He surmised the medicine must be incredibly precious. In his frantic search for his savior, he had only seen Shen Liusu burning incense in the temple hall. Under his earnest questioning, Shen Liusu quickly admitted to saving him, yet she never could explain the medicine's origin. He assumed it was a Shen family secret and didn't press further, cherishing her solely as his savior. But the mark on that medicine bottle matched the one on this jade pendant exactly. And in all these years, had never seen Shen Liusu appear again. Beijing stiffened, demanding, "Where is your young mistress?" The maid sobbed, gasping for breath. "I don't know where the young mistress went. She vanished after waking up, leaving these things behind for me. I was just going to search for her when the eldest young mistress caught me. General, please help me. My young mistress is with child. She can't be out alone without care. I must find her immediately." The jade pendant slipped from Beijing's grasp and fell to the ground. He snapped his head up, his face turning pale. With child, Beijing felt as if struck by lightning, instantly grasping the meaning. But he dared not dwell on it. He turned to stare at Shen Liusu, who was examining the jade pendant with curiosity. Just as he opened his mouth to probe, she asked curiously, "Zheng, is there a story behind this jade pendant? Could it be another token of affection you gave to my dear sister?" Beijing didn't answer. Instead, he asked, "Look closely at the symbols on this jade pendant. Do they look familiar?" Shen Liusu took the jade pendant, examining it repeatedly. Confused, she scoffed casually. "Looks pretty strange. Never seen it before." "The jade quality is nothing special either." Beijing froze. He couldn't believe the one who had saved him back then wasn't Shinryu, and it was most likely Shinryu. Yet he had always betrayed Shinryu. What was even more terrifying was Shinryu was carrying his child, yet now she was nowhere to be found. Pei Jing staggered, dizzy and disoriented. Shinryu rushed to support him, but he flung her away with a backhand, sending her crashing to the ground. Lieutenant, seal all 4 city gates. Search every corner for Miss Shinryu. Remember, not a hair on her head must be harmed. Bring my head if you fail. Pei Jing issued the order, his voice trembling. He then hurried out the main gate himself. Zheng, Shinryu panicked, trying to call him back, but Pei Jing seemed deaf to everyone. He didn't stop for a single step. 5 years after leaving the capital, after wandering through many places, I finally settled in my mother's hometown. This small border town called Chunlin enjoyed spring-like weather year-round. It wasn't particularly developed, but the folk customs were simple and life was peaceful. I suppose I hadn't disappointed my mother's upbringing. Taking the pseudonym Qin Shi, I assisted at a medical clinic. Later, I opened my own small medical shop. I dared not use my maternal grandfather's medical reputation, instead naming it Rangon Hall after my mother's childhood nickname, Rome. In those days, many women suffered from ailments, yet constrained by prejudice. They felt too embarrassed to seek treatment from male physicians at clinics. I specialized in treating gynecological patients, gradually gaining some renown. After seeing the last elderly patient that day, my daughter Yo-Yo insisted I take her to buy sugar figurines. Thinking it was still early and she'd obediently memorized a long poem yesterday, I agreed. As soon as we reached the sugar stall at the bridgehead, Yo-Yo dashed over with a beaming smile. Uncle, I want a Sun Wukong sugar figurine. Her childish voice was sweet and innocent, utterly charming. The stall owner immediately broke into a wide grin. Little Missy, you're back again. What trick did you pull on your mom this time? Watch out for your dad's paddle when you get home, the owner teased playfully. But Yo-Yo wouldn't have it. Puffing at her cheeks, she retorted loudly. Daddy would never hit me. Daddy loves Yo-Yo the most. Besides, Mom said he went to a place far, far away. He can't even reach me from there. The crowd around us burst into laughter, and I couldn't help but join in. After getting the sugar figurine she wanted, I took her hand and started walking back. But as I turned around, my heart skipped a beat. What bad luck. Not far away stood an old acquaintance. My heart skipped a beat, not with excitement, but with dread. My first thought was, could it be that Shinryu, still fuming over my sudden departure years ago, had sent Pei Jing to hunt me down here? My unease grew as I unconsciously studied the figure before me. 5 years had passed, yet the place remained unchanged while the people had not. Beneath the towering jacaranda tree, Pei Jing still stood as the imposing general he had always been. Yet compared to when I left, he now carried an added depth of maturity and steadiness. Only the sharpness between his brows hinted at the once reckless, defiant young commander. But for some reason, Pei Jing's complexion was unnaturally pale, his eyes bloodshot and frightening. After a moment's exchange of glances, his gaze shifted to the small figure beside me. Caught completely off guard, I hesitated. Should I pretend not to know him, or run? My tension made me unconsciously squeeze Yo-Yo's little hand. She yelped in pain. Mommy, you hurt Yo-Yo. I quickly loosened my grip, crouching to examine her little hand. I rubbed it gently, then blew warm breaths to soothe her. Yo-Yo's smile returned instantly. I was just kidding. Mommy, your warm breath made it better. It doesn't hurt at all now. I gave a wry smile. My mind set on getting her home quickly before this living devil clung to us. Turning around, I saw Pei Jing still standing in the same spot, not having moved an inch for a long time. This puzzled me even more. Silently, I picked up Yo-Yo, preparing to take a detour around him. But after taking just a few steps, Pei Jing blocked my path. Shinryu, I've been searching for you for 5 years. Peijing leaned down. His gaze fixed on me as he spoke each word. His voice was hoarse and terrifying. The words came so suddenly. I was startled, nearly dropping Yo-Yo from my arms. Peijing reacted swiftly, stepping forward to catch her. But Yo-Yo, terrified, kicked his hand away and clung tightly to me instead. Mommy, this uncle looks so scary. Yo-Yo's afraid. Peijing looked slightly embarrassed and silently withdrew his hand. Just as I was about to comfort Yo-Yo, Peijing forced a smile and addressed her. Little girl, don't be afraid. Uncle is the great general who fights wars to protect you all. Your name is Yo-Yo. As in Yo-Yo the deer calls. Right. Peijing had always been decisive and ruthless in battle, except for Shin Liu-su. He never spoke softly to others. This was the first time I'd heard such a gentle tone from him. Yo-Yo was naturally bold, though she'd been startled by his armor moments ago. Hearing he was a great general, her fear vanished instantly. Yes. How did you know my name is Yo-Yo? When I was little, my daddy told me lots of stories about battles. Are you a great hero too? Yo-Yo's wide eyes lit up instantly, but Peijing's eyes grew dim, even tinged with guilt. When he spoke again, his voice was almost choked with emotion. Yes, Yo-Yo is very clever. After that, he turned to me apologetically, seeming to struggle to speak. Liu Shi, all these years, raising a child alone. It must have been incredibly hard. My whole body stiffened, and I abruptly looked up at him, completely baffled. Raising my own child. What did the hardship have to do with him? Sorry. You've mistaken me for someone else. I don't go by Shen, nor am I Liu Shi. Perhaps we've mistakenly reminisced. Excuse us, I said coldly. Then tried to leave with Yo-Yo in my arms. But then, Peijing stretched out his long arm and pulled us both into his embrace. I couldn't break free. Burying his head in my shoulder, he spoke in a muffled voice. I'm sorry, Liu Shi. I came too late. I know you blame me. But these past 5 years, I never gave up searching for you and your daughter. Will you take your daughter and come back to the capital with me? Peijing's words utterly stunned me. Waith couldn't possibly think Yo-Yo was his daughter. Could he? My heart raced. Men could be careless. Failing to recognize a child's age was understandable, but Yo-Yo truly wasn't his child. Just as I prepared to clarify this, Yo-Yo, struggling in his grasp, slapped Peijing across the face. Let go of my mother. Let go of my mother, or my father will come back and break your legs. Those slapped. Peijing showed no anger. He stepped back slightly, smiling patiently at her instead. Yo-Yo, I am your father. Before, I was just away at war. Now I've returned. I quickly interrupted him, explaining coldly. General Pei, you're mistaken. Yo-Yo isn't your child. Peijing paid no heed, persistently coaxing Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo, would you like to come back to the capital with me and your mother? The capital has beautiful dresses, delicious treats, and fun toys. Before he could finish, Yo-Yo lost patience, puffing out her cheeks in displeasure. No, my daddy is taller and much more handsome than you. Yo-Yo isn't going anywhere. Otherwise, Daddy won't find us when he comes back. I really am your father. Peijing looked sheepish and was about to try again. I didn't want to argue anymore. I carried Yo-Yo further away and shouted across the street. General Pei, in broad daylight, under the clear sky, you wouldn't dare snatch a child. Would you? A few onlookers had gathered, and my words drew even more people. What's gotten into this soldier? He looks big and strong, yet he's trying to snatch a child in broad daylight. Madam Qin, hurry back with the child. Well, hold them off for you. Exactly. Is there no law anymore? The villagers chattered in unison, crowding around until Peijing's face turned a vivid shade of embarrassment. He gave up trying to block us. He hurried away with his servant. I thanked everyone and hurried back to the pharmacy with Yo-Yo in my arms. Behind the pharmacy was a small 2-courtyard compound where our family of THR lived. Children forget quickly, And Yo-Yo was fine once we got home, but I remained deeply troubled, though I didn't know why I had misunderstood Yo-Yo's identity. I feared it might draw people from the Shin household and cause more unnecessary trouble. Business would likely be impossible these next few days. It would be safer to reopen only after Beijing left Chunlin County. Having made up my mind, I deliberately kept the shop closed the following day. 3 days passed without incident. I assumed Beijing must have departed. Just then, several patients impatiently sought treatment, so I opened a side door. But as soon as I opened, things got busy, and Yo-Yo slipped outside to play with the neighbor kids. When I finished and went looking for her, she was chattering away with the kids around a sugar painting stall. The moment I recognized the stall owner, my face darkened. Beijing had actually come looking. Yo-Yo, sugar paintings are delicious. How about Uncle draws you a warhorse? Beijing wore plain clothes, looking every bit the peddler, holding a freshly made sugar painting. Yo-Yo was tempted but hesitated, saying shyly, "Uncle, Mother didn't give me any money." Beijing smiled. "Uncle's sugar paintings don't cost anything. You're so cute. I'll give you one." Yo-Yo's face instantly turned wary. "Uncle, my mom said anything free is a scam to trick kids, a slave trader." "Urdu. Let's run." The neighbor kid beside them also grew alert. Just as they started to run, Beijing grabbed them both. "Uncle isn't a slave trader. Uncle is your mother's friend. You saw her talking to me that day, didn't you? Have you forgotten?" Children are easily persuaded, especially by the lure of sugar paintings. This time, Yo-Yo believed him a little and stopped moving. Then, "Uncle, can you draw me 2 horses? Beijing happily agreed, his eyes seeming to glisten slightly. He casually asked, "Yo-Yo, you must be a horse, right? What's your mother's zodiac sign?" Yo-Yo looked puzzled. "Yo-Yo isn't a horse. Yo-Yo's a goat ba." Beijing paused, murmuring to himself, "Even her zodiac sign." I stood nearby, my feelings tangled. Beijing, who'd somehow learned this craft, had actually drawn 2 warhorses for Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo happily took the sugar paintings. Beijing gently stroked her head. "You're such a good girl, Yo-Yo. You can eat one yourself, but the other is for your mother." "Right." Yo-Yo shook her head, beaming. "No, Mother never eats candy. One sugar painting is for Yo-Yo, and the other is for Daddy when he comes back. Mother said Daddy will be back at the end of the month. He always brings me lots of good things when he returns. So Yo-Yo wants to give him a gift too." Beijing's lips, which had been curved in a smile, instantly fell. He looked as if he wanted to say something but held back, his eyes fixed on Yo-Yo without blinking. He patiently explained further. "Yo-Yo, Uncle really is your father. Would you give the sugar painting to Daddy to eat?" "No, you're not my daddy. I'm giving all the sugar paintings back to you." Yo-Yo was furious, shoving the sugar painting back into Beijing's hands. I hurried forward and pulled both children toward me. "General Pei, I made myself perfectly clear that Yo-Yo truly isn't your child. There are things best left unsaid in front of the child. Please don't come bother me again." Beijing chuckled helplessly. "Liu Shi, I know you still blame me. I did wrong back then, but why must you bear all this alone? Even lying to the child making up her zodiac sign." I sighed. "Why must this man be so stubborn? Yo-Yo is 3.5 now. Ask her yourself. Children don't lie. Originally, well, we weren't meant to be. When I left the capital, I bought a packet of red flowers." Beijing's eyes widened, his expression shifting instantly. Even the sugar painting tools in his hands fell to the ground. He seemed unable to believe any of it. It was better to be clear. Seeing him frozen in place, I paid him no further mind, taking Yo-Yo and Ergo by the hand and walking back. No sound followed us. As I closed the door, I saw him still staring fixedly at us. "Ah, well, it looks like I won't be able to open the clinic these next couple of days." "Never mind. Yo-Yo's father sent word last month. He should arrive any day now. Thinking of my husband, Xia Yanlin, I felt a wave of calm wash over me. I thought after yesterday's talk, Beijing would have left overnight. But the next day, when I went out to buy groceries, I opened the door to find him standing there again. Beijing was holding a pile of children's toys, with a flower-decorated carriage behind him. My secret guards were restless nearby, but I shook my head slightly to signal it was fine. Uncle, why are you here again? Yo-Yo lifted her little face and pouted. Could you stop clinging to my mommy? Daddy will get jealous when he comes back. Beijing looked slightly embarrassed and didn't respond. He only crouched down and handed her the bag of trinkets. Yo-Yo, Uncle bought you a cloth tiger, clay figurines, a ceramic rattle ball. He presented them like treasures. Trying to win her favor, Yo-Yo's eyes lit up, but she didn't move an inch. My head ached as I spoke up. General Pei, didn't you hear what I said yesterday? There's no need for this. Beijing seemed deaf to my words. Rising to show me. Liu Shi. Look at these Lingnan likeys delivered by a carriage that wore out 6 horses in 3 days. There's the finest silk procured overnight from the capital, and the most exquisite jewelry from the local jeweler. I've found it all for you. What else could you possibly want? If it exists under heaven, they'll find it for you. I took 2 steps back, cutting him off coldly. General Pei, neither Yo-Yo nor I need any of this. I think you still misunderstand. Yo-Yo truly isn't your flesh and blood. Please don't disturb us anymore. Beijing smiled bitterly. Liu Shi, you needn't deceive me. I know you're the kindest soul. Back in that mountain temple, you were willing to use the only divine pill left by your maternal grandfather to save my life. These past days outside the clinic, I've seen how patient and kind you are with the elderly, the weak, women, children, even those who can't afford the consultation fee. How could you bear to abort the child we share? Liu Shi, don't be angry with me. I know you hate me, but if you'll give me a chance, bring Yo-Yo home with me. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to both of you. Suddenly, I felt utterly helpless. Beijing had always been decisive and ruthless, never clinging so desperately and insistently like this. 5 years had wrought such profound change. I sighed helplessly. Yo-Yo's real father returns in 2 days. If you don't believe me, wait until he arrives and give up hope. But Beijing smiled. In this backwater town, such a common man could never match you. Liu Shi, don't sacrifice yourself just to spite me. No sooner had the words left my mouth than a cool voice cut through the air behind us. My dear wife, have I caused you to compromise yourself? All eyes turned toward the voice. My husband, Xia Yanlin, stepped out from behind the carriage, his expression as still as water. Yo-Yo reacted first, wriggling free from my grasp and throwing herself into Xia Yanlin's arms. Daddy. Xia Yanlin instantly softened, smiling as he scooped Yo-Yo into his arms. Daddy, you're finally back. Mommy was being harassed by that nasty uncle. Xia Yanlin paused for a second, kissing Yo-Yo's chubby little cheek. He lifted her high above his head before walking over to stand beside me. Father and daughter were always close. I was used to it. But Beijing had never witnessed such a scene. He seemed struck by a massive blow. Frozen in place. 7th Prince. Beijing snapped out of it and hurriedly bowed. Right, Xia Yanlin had lived under an alias for so long. I'd almost forgotten they must have known each other before. Beijing still couldn't believe it, murmuring, Lu Zai's husband is the 7th Prince. Xia Yanlin cradled Yo-Yo in one arm while his other hand slipped around my shoulder. If this prince recalls correctly, the general is already married. Isn't he? Does your wife know you've been pursuing another woman? Beijing staggered, then turned to me urgently, trying to explain. When Liu Shi vanished all those years ago, I immediately sealed the city and launched a search. We combed every corner 7 times over, yet found nothing. All these years, I never gave up looking for her and her daughter. The more Beijing spoke, the darker Xia Yanlin's expression grew. But he persisted. But that poisonous woman Shen Liusu threatened suicide, with the emperor's command pressing down. I had no choice but to take responsibility for her and marry her and, however, since Shin Liusu entered the household, I have never touched her once. To this day, the general's residence remains childless. If you don't believe me, go ask around the entire capital. Shin Liusu was reprimanded by His Majesty for this and mocked by all the noble ladies in the city. He was still ranting when suddenly, as if sensing something, he whipped his head around to find Shin Liusu standing nearby. Her face was as white as paper. Pei Jing finally fell silent. His own expression was rather vivid. Xia Yinlin offered a faint smile. My dear, today must be an auspicious day. Our doorstep is quite lively. After a moment, he added with disdain. Shin Liusu, you're here pestering me again. Don't you realize how utterly tiresome this is? Tears instantly welled in Shin Liusu's eyes as she lost her composure, accusing him. Jing, so this is why you've refused to touch me because of that slut and her little brat. You guard her. But what about me? If you can't let her go, why did you marry me in the first place? Before she could finish, Xia Yinlin flicked a pebble at her knee with lightning speed. Shin Liusu stumbled and knelt toward me. Watch your tongue. Show disrespect to my wife again. And I won't just hit your knees, Xia Yinlin said coldly. Shin Liusu didn't recognize him. Her tears flowed even more freely as she cried out to Pei Jing. Pei Jing, no matter what, I'm still your legally wedded wife. Are you just going to stand by and let him treat me like this? Pei Jing didn't even spare her a glance. We both know full well how you forced me to marry you. You've already claimed the position of primary wife. What more do you want? If you hadn't interfered back then, would I have been separated from Liu Shi for all these years? Shin Liusu struggled to her feet, pointing at Pei Jing as she screamed. Fine, fine, fine. Pei Jing, you still blame me. Wasn't that your own choice? You first had an affair with that slut Shin Liu Shi, then took my innocence, and now you dare accuse me of sabotage. Too bad Shin Liu Shi already found a man who cherishes her more. Yet you shamelessly came back to harass her, showering her with gifts. Pity she doesn't even glance your way. Shin Liusu's words tore open Pei Jing's wounds. Unable to contain himself, he lashed out and slapped her across the face. Shut up, you shrew. Shin Liusu reeled back in disbelief, nearly toppling over. Tear-streaked eyes stared at him, speechless. Xia Yinlin set down Yo-Yo, covering her ears to shield her from the vile words. Xia, let's take Yo-Yo home first. Leave this place to General Pei and his wife. They surely have household matters to attend to. With that, Xia Yinlin motioned for me to enter the house. But Shin Liusu, as if suddenly remembering something, shouted bitterly. Shin Liusu's man. This young master looks extraordinary too, certainly no ordinary man. Do you know that the precious daughter you cherish so deeply isn't your own flesh and blood? She's the bastard child of Shin Liusu and my husband. I won't let you be kept in the dark forever. Xia Yinlin, who had just stepped over the threshold, halted abruptly. He turned slowly, his gaze darkening to a terrifying intensity. His daughter and I had always been his Achilles heel. Shin Liusu could insult anyone, but we were the one thing she absolutely could not touch. Miss Shin, Xia Yinlin said coldly, I showed restraint out of respect for your status as Sierra's elder sister, but after you've slandered my daughter so shamelessly, don't blame me for what comes next. Xia Yinlin spoke coldly, then carried Yo-Yo inside. Before the door closed, Shin Liusu was seized by Xia Yinlin's men. Shrieks like a slaughtered pig echoed through the air. Yet Pei Jing remained frozen in place, staring at me as if oblivious. Xia Yanlin's men possessed countless methods to torture without killing. As an unloved prince exiled to an enemy nation as a hostage since childhood, he had spent years concealing his true nature, becoming cunning and unpredictable. Sometimes, even I found him impossible to read. Inside the house, Yo-Yo eagerly tugged at Xia Yanlin's sleeve, chattering away. One moment she'd gush about the latest toys. The next she'd complain about the strange man outside the door who kept bothering us. Then she'd say something odd. Daddy, that man outside is so strange. He keeps saying he's Yo-Yo's daddy. Is he not right in the head? Xia Yanlin's expression had been grim. But at those words, he suddenly burst into laughter. You're so clever. Yo-Yo. Here. Have 5 sugar figurines as a reward. Alan. I scolded the moment Yo-Yo started clapping excitedly. Xia Yanlin immediately scratched his nose and changed his tune. Yo-Yo. How about daddy gives you 1 sugar figurine every 10 days? Otherwise, if mommy gets angry, she might abandon us father and daughter. What then? Yo-Yo nodded anxiously. Mommy won't get angry. Yo-Yo will listen to mommy. And daddy will too. I couldn't help but laugh and cry at the same time. Pinching her cheek. Outside the door had grown quiet. Pei Zheng and the others must have left. Xia Yanlin had been away on business for 3 months now. While father and daughter played, I deliberately prepared several of his favorite dishes. After our happy family meal, Xia Yanlin didn't ask me a single word about Pei Zheng. Not long after dark, Xia Yanlin quickly put Yo-Yo to sleep. After washing up, I stepped into the inner room only to be embraced from behind. My dear, after tending to Yo-Yo all day, isn't it time to tend to your husband? I chuckled. Aren't you going to ask me about Pei Zheng? Xia Yanlin said nothing, busily kissing me starting from behind my ear. I pushed him away, intending to explain the situation first, but he silenced me with his lips. Just some old acquaintances. Nothing worth mentioning. I trust you completely. Xia Yanlin's words were muffled against my lips before he pressed his mouth fervently back to mine. Before I could speak, his passionate embrace swept me into surrender. Xia Yanlin cold as ice to the world, yet fiery as flame in bed. It was utterly overwhelming. 5 years ago, he suffered severe injuries and was rescued by my master and me while we were gathering herbs in the mountains. It took a month of attentive care before he could walk again. Yet he didn't leave. Instead, he settled into the house next to the clinic. After he visited me daily for treatment, I confessed my past to him. I only concealed my true identity. I expected him to despise me and leave, but he revealed his own astonishing origins to me. That very day, he sent a matchmaker to propose. I refused him then, but one sentence of his made refusal impossible. Do you scorn this crippled body, once held hostage in an enemy nation, humiliated without dignity by nobles? His despairing look left me no choice but to consent. Little did I know that yielding would lead, in a haze of confusion, to marriage. It wasn't until our wedding night that I discovered his so-called crippled body was perfectly sound. Only then did I realize I'd been deceived. Later, as time passed, I found myself growing fond of this quiet life. 2 souls who'd endured scorn and neglect since childhood slowly found warmth in each other, and became inseparable through our shared child. Our bond forged an even stronger inner resolve. Exhausted from the night's exertions, I didn't wake until nearly noon. Spring rain fell outside, and father and daughter were admiring it in the courtyard. Occasional claps of thunder made Xia Yanlin cover Yo-Yo's ears, afraid she'd be frightened. Seeing me emerge, Yo-Yo rushed toward me. Mommy, you're so naughty. Sleeping in. My cheeks flushed crimson as I shot Xia Yanlin a glare. Yo-Yo called out again. Mommy, that weird uncle is at our house again. Is he really not right in the head? Standing out there in the rain, startled, I looked at Xia Yanlin. He sneered jealously. Just a clown. If he thinks he can touch my people, he's dreaming. I walked to the outer herbal shop and immediately spotted Pei Zheng standing in the rain outside the door. Spring rain fell in a fine, dense mist. Pei Zheng carried no umbrella. Letting the rain soak him, he was thoroughly drenched. Looking utterly miserable, this man has been standing in the rain all night. He won't say a word when questioned. What a strange fellow. Doesn't he want to live? The young female medic at the clinic muttered to me, when he saw me standing before him with my umbrella. Pei Zheng smiled. His voice was hoarse. Lu Shi, I know you still care about me. I pleaded one last time. General Pei. Why torment yourself like this? I've made it clear time and again we truly have no connection left. Yo-Yo is not your daughter. If you don't believe me, we can do a blood test. But if you just open your eyes and look, their features are almost identical. Stop deceiving yourself. The past is gone, Peijing staggered. Just as Xia Yinlin appeared at the apothecary's entrance, holding Yo-Yo, the two stood side by side, father and daughter. Their expressions mirrored, their features like exact copies. Peijing's face drained of color. Inch by inch, his entire body went limp. His pallor terrifying. No, impossible. Liu Shi would never have aborted. Even if Yo-Yo isn't my daughter, I could still care for both of you. Xia Yinlin approached with an umbrella, wrapping his arm around me. General, you needn't trouble yourself with my wife. She will take care of herself. Exhausted, Peijing collapsed unconscious at the apothecary's door. In the days that followed, Xia Yinlin dismissed all official duties to stay home with me and Yo-Yo. For Peijing refused to give up. No matter how many times I explained, he remained convinced Yo-Yo was his daughter. That day, after catching a severe cold from the rain, his men carried him to the apothecary. They reported he refused all medicine, accepting only my treatment. I had the secret guards carry him out immediately. Rangan Hall treats only female patients. According to his subordinates, he refused food, drink, and medicine until Shinryu forcibly administered it. It took nearly half a month of care before he recovered. After Shinryu was disciplined by Xia Yanlin's men last time, he dared not trouble me again. But once Peijing recovered, he dragged his weakened body back to the pharmacy to find me. Every day he sat silently in the main hall, staring blankly at me. Sometimes Yo-Yo took pity on him and exchanged a few words, which made him overjoyed. He brought her toys or snacks every day, though Yo-Yo always refused them. Whenever heavy lifting needed doing at the shop, he was the first to offer help. I couldn't fathom why a general of his stature would amuse himself so. Xia Yinlin treated him like a clown and paid him no mind. After all, at home, Peijing couldn't stir up any trouble. Finally, after he hauled another cartload of herbs for the pharmacy, Shinryu lost her temper and stormed into the shop. I was busy dispensing medicine for a patient and hadn't noticed the commotion. When I snapped to attention, Shinryu's dagger was already thrusting toward me. I froze in terror, unable to react. In the blink of an eye, Peijing lunged forward to shield me. Shinryu's blade pierced his abdomen. Shinryu froze in shock. But Peijing showed her no mercy. He spun around and sent her flying several meters with a single palm strike. Shinryu slammed into the wall, blood spilling from her mouth. Ignoring his own bleeding, Peijing hurried to check if I was hurt. Shinryu wept in despair. Zheng, all these years I've done so much for you, yet you never saw it. And now, for some whore, you've wounded me this badly. How could you be so heartless? Peijing stared at her for a long moment, his voice filled with seething hatred. Shinryu, if you hadn't deceived me so utterly, would we have ended up like this? Would Liu Shi have run off with my child? Shinryu burst into maniacal laughter. And you still believe it's your child? Stop dreaming. Look at her husband, far more responsible than you. At least he protects his own wife. Fortunately, what I cannot have, neither can you. My blade is poisoned. Since you wish to die in Shinlux's place, then die. Ha 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 ha. Peijing's subordinates rushed forward in panic to support him. He waved them away with one hand. Peijing stared at me unblinkingly, pleading, Liu Shi, please save me. I truly regret it. I shouldn't have betrayed you that day. Even if I hadn't recognized my benefactor back then, I should have taken responsibility for you. For our child. I looked at him deeply, said nothing, and turned to go back into the inner room. Perhaps the Shinryu of 5 years ago might have wavered, but the Qin Shi of today would no longer be tormented by the past. I remained the same tongue-tied, passive concubine's daughter I had always been, yet my heart had grown far more resolute and resilient. Later, Shinryu's injuries proved fatal. and she died that very night. As she breathed her last, she muttered that she would enter the Pei family's ancestral tomb, haunting him for generations to come. Pei Jing was poisoned, yet my life-saving elixir was no longer available. By the time he reached the capital for treatment, the poison had taken too deep a hold. His body was severely damaged, leaving him perpetually weak, unable to wield a sword again. The world mourned the loss of a military star, but felt little else. Upon arriving in the capital, I learned of this from a street storyteller and offered no comment. Yo-Yo, however, remarked, "The great hero can't wield his sword anymore. How tragic for him." Xia Yanlin silently picked up Yo-Yo. Our family of 3 prepared to leave this place and return to life in the capital. Several of the emperor's sons had died unexpectedly one after another. Now, the only suitable heir of age left was Xia Yanlin, the 7th prince who had never been favored. Countless trials and tribulations lay ahead of us. But fortunately, as the embers of spring burned out, the fruits of our labor were just beginning to take shape. The end.